my privilege to introduce one of my new bosses, one of 7 school board members for SAISD. And this is Ami Mizell Flint. And I wanted our community, Amy, to get to see a face of what, because your articles in the newspaper have your name, but not necessarily your picture. And you were chosen by your fellow now school board members to fill Mrs. Roberts' position at least to the end of her term, which is a few months out, and then to run for her position when the election is in May. And one of the things I want our community and audience to know is what led our school board to Ami Mizell Flint. And it wasn't, it was some really specific things about you. It was what you're involved in now in our community, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. It is that you have a number of children who are in our schools at all levels, plus one at home that's going to be coming. So you have your ears and eyes attuned to the activities. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then just for them to get to know, why were you interested in this? And I know this was a hard decision because you're very busy and your family's very important to you, which was also important to us. So let's first start with where did you grow up, and how long have you been in San Angelo?
Well, I grew up in South Florida, but I was born in New York. So since family was in New York, I kind of went back and forth between New York and South Florida in summers and on vacations and stuff. So I kind of consider both my home, New York and South Florida. But we moved to San Angelo in 1999. So I guess we've been here for 14 years.
Yes.
And it was 1998. We've been here for almost 15 years. Anyway, and we just love San Angelo. We've had several opportunities to, go other places, and we've just always decided to stay here because we didn't want to leave.
Well, you have invested a lot of your time and energy in our city and in organizations that many in our city love. And I know the list, Girls and Boy Scouts, because you have sons and daughters.
Yes.
We'll come back to your children in just a second, but you're very involved in the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. And the Girl Scouts, you've been on committees tell me the committees.
Well, I am the canoe trainer for the Girl Scouts, and so
I need help in that regard because I do participate in that, and I'm not very good, and I've never won.
Well, you need to come out and practice with the girls.
I need to.
Our troop is kind of the girls in my troop are all 11th graders now. So we've been canoeing now. This is our 5th year. And we just love it. There's nothing like getting out on the water and being outside in nature. And so it gets them away from the computers. They can't bring their cell phones in the canoes, so everything is good about it. And so a few years ago, the person who was in charge of the canoe training needed to step down, and I graciously accepted because I was very excited about that opportunity.
Well, good. Now, remind some people in our community may not know the purpose of the canoe race.
The canoe race is one of the biggest fundraisers that the Girl Scouts has, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to bring the community, people like you and principals of the schools and business owners, to bring them down to the river and work with the girls. And it kind of gives the girls a little bit of more self-confidence because they've already been out in the canoes and they've been practicing for weeks or months, and then to bring
leaders in our
of the community out.
And at Goodfellow and
ASU athletes come out, and it's just a great day. and it's one of
How
my
does
favorite
it
events.
help raise money?
There are sponsors that sponsor, businesses typically sponsor the canoes, and so it's a form of advertising for them and a great, community presence for them to be out there with the girls. So.
Well, a great young lady has helped me canoe and lead my canoe, guide my canoe. The best thing and the goal I have each year is to not tump and lose my glasses.
Yes, and it happens.
And it does happen, and because you have to go down a ways, go around a cone, and come back. And usually I'm up against some very athletic people.
Yes.
So, but it is a wonderful event, and I've enjoyed participating. Somebody has to come in last.
That is true.
And I come in last graciously.
Oh.
So that's not the only committee for Girl Scouts you are on.
Yes, and then there's the Women of Distinction committee that it was one of those I kind of started off doing as a favor and have just fallen in love with this event.
It's very inspiring.
It is. It's every year there's a certain number, and the number changes, but a certain number of women that are honored from not just San Angelo, but in and around within the local area that our Girl Scout program center serves. And so women are nominated, and then they have to be selected from the group that are nominated. And the women that they find, and you were one of them last year, was it, or the year before?
It's been in the last couple of years.
Okay. But the women that they find are just these phenomenal women that have just done so much for our community, and it really
thank you.
amazing.
I think the biggest very emotional thing for me about that honor was that a student at the high school, a young lady, nominated me and wrote, we never know who's watching us.
Right.
And I didn't know her very well, and yet she had observed, and thank goodness, evidently when she observed me, I was doing okay. But what she wrote and read that night, I've never had a more humbling tribute. And so that is a wonderful event and night, the Women of Distinction. And then you have participated with the Boy Scouts because you have sons and daughters and are not showing bias.
Right.
You're a pack leader or a...
Well, no, I help with the troop. I'm one of the treasurer for the troop, I guess. And then, the Pinewood Derby's coming up, so we're getting ready for Pinewood Derby and, just all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, I just can't think of two better organizations. They've impacted my family's life and the young people who are blessed to be able to be either a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout come out with gifts that very few other organizations would they get some of those. And I'm so supportive of both of those organizations. So you chose well,
thank
Amy.
you.
Now, you are a writer for the Standard Times.
I'm a freelance writer. So.
And you write a lot of human interest stories, and you tell a story. That is my observation of your writing. You have gone back to school to even sharpen your skills in that. So besides raising children and being involved in these activities, tell us about that.
Well, I actually, I'm 3 semesters away from finishing my marketing degree. And I, was a good student and finished high school and went right on to college just like I was supposed to. And then, life happened. And I finished 2 two-year degrees and a 1-year certificate, and then got married and moved to Texas and didn't have an opportunity to go to school right away. And I realized pretty quick that 2 two-year degrees and a 1-year certificate does not equal a 4-year degree. And so when my daughter was little, I always said that I wanted to finish my college degree before she finished her high school diploma and received her high school diploma. And so when she was a freshman in high school, I realized I better get on that. And so she's a junior in high school now. And so I should, assuming all goes to plan, I should finish in May, and then she'll graduate in June. So,
well, you waited until you had 4 children to finish your schooling. What were your two-year degrees in?
One was in business and marketing, and then the other one was actually in teaching, because I've always loved teaching.
Well, you have a diverse portfolio, Amy, and you're very active in your congregation. And before this interview, I was complimenting you on the series of articles you did very recently that told a lot about the history of your congregation and people that helped establish it decades ago. And you learned about how important, even though your congregation is small, what an impact it had. And so I think that is a great part of who you are. And so now let's talk about your children.
Okay.
Because they have diverse interests, not only their extracurricular scouting for several of your children. Start with your oldest and tell us name and school. And
okay. Well, Megan is a junior at Central, and she is in the marching band, and just loves everything about marching band. And she has really gotten interested in physics this year, so she's gotten into and I always mess up the exact name, but it's like the High School Aeronautic Scholars Program that she's working on. So she has these additional physics projects that she has to do every week, but she does them willingly. So that's amazing to me, because I'm interested in physics, but I've never seen anybody that loves physics the way Megan does. So that's been kind of exciting for us.
We're trying so hard to get more young people, especially young women, interested in any of the sciences.
Yes.
And physics is definitely one of the hardest ones.
Exactly. Well, she's excited about it.
And to love it.
And to love it. My dad always said, if you do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. So.
Well, that's a great thing. So she's your musician and physicist, perhaps future scientist.
Yeah, perhaps. Hopefully. And then Matthew is a freshman at the freshman campus, also in marching band. Also loves it. He kind of had no choice, because he's been indoctrinated for 2 years with Megan. So,
So his sister won him over.
Yes. So, and he loves computer sciences. So he's excited about the opportunity to take the dual credit computer sciences at Central, and looking forward to that. So he's trying to get all of his prerequisites done now so that he can have time to do that later. Then
you have a gap.
And then we have a little bit of a gap.
And
then
Precious Jacob.
Precious Jacob.
Who's in charge of second grade.
Of everything there is to do.
Absolutely.
Yes. Jacob is a second grader at Bowie. And he is just a little, there's the mother hen, well, Jacob is like the father hen, kind of just over everything. Jacob has recently taken an interest in acting, and so he's going to be in the Pippi Longstocking performance, I think it's in April. So he just, can't wait to go to practices every, twice a week, and just loves to be on stage.
And unafraid to approach, if he has a mutual interest, adults.
Oh, yeah.
And so he has very good social skills, because I have been approached by Jacob on ways we could partner on some activity. Well, some things he was interested in learning. And I love when I see kids that are passionate in whatever their interest is, especially when it's healthy interest.
Right.
So he has great people skills.
Jacob is one of those kids that, I go to his teacher on the first day of class and say, whatever he says, I'm apologizing now. It's never anything bad, but he's very open about what he thinks. So.
Yes, but very respectful.
Yes.
Yes, and you want to hear what Jacob has to say.
Right.
Okay, and then the newest boss of the family.
Yes, and she is a little boss. Allison is 3 and in preschool, and she's 3, you know.
And social as well.
She is, although she is the shyest of my 4.
Wow.
But she's, you know, she still knows we've trained her to smile for a camera, and you know, we're trying to train her to speak to people when she's spoken to, but she's not quite there yet.
Well,
So.
she's been precious around us, and so I didn't even realize she was had any shyness. Your husband, John, is also very much a contributor to our community. And the first time I ever met John, he is the word caller for the San Angelo Standard Times Spelling
yes.
Bee.
Yes.
And he has that marvelous voice, and he makes all the children feel more relaxed and encourages them. But that was my first introduction to your husband, John, who is probably your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Because John saw and encouraged you to take this position before you thought you could add it to the
One more
list.
thing, yes.
He very encouraging, saw the value in us having a woman on the board who is mothers. It's certainly a generalization, and I don't normally like that, but it is true. We see sometimes through a different lens than from the father's lens. So to have a balance is wonderful. And so John is extremely proud of you and supportive, because it's going to mean he will be needed to fill the gap some while you're at meetings and preparing to come to board meetings.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize, wouldn't have a reason to realize, that you, before every board meeting, a few days ahead, it's online, but that we sent to you, but if it was printed out, it is sometimes 3-4 inches of paper, so that you come prepared to make decisions, not with your mind made up,
Right.
but a background of information.
Aware
So
of
you don't just show up. And our board, one of the many reasons they have done so well together as a team is they all come prepared and they have done their homework. But they're also, and we hear this about you, they're open to other people's input, not only their constituents in their district, but other board team members, as well as people that they work with and run into on the streets. Because once people know who you are, whether you're in a restaurant or at the grocery store, which you will be, they will stop you, as they do me, and give their opinion about an issue. That's what we're here for. Right. We're public, and we are to listen to people. And we understand this about you, Amy, is that you care about the whole city, not just your district.
Right.
You care about children all over our city of all ages, and clearly by your children's interest, you're interested in a lot of programs that our school district offers, and that was important to us. Amy, you are a very generous person with your time, you and John, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you were willing to take on a job that isn't, you know this, we were up front with you, and our board, some of our board members who met with you to persuade you to come on and try it, you will get more negative feedback at the end of the day than sometimes the positive. Right. And you are understanding of that and are willing to listen to whatever people have to say, whether they're mad or whatever, that we listen and take it. And what do you do with that information? And we've had our staff meet with Amy to help her to know if you get a phone call about a bus route, what to do, and that you're smart as a whip and have good people skills, and that's what we wanted. So do you have other, what was appealing to you that you would take on something of this magnitude?
Well, there were several issues that I thought about. The first one being, of course, Megan and Matthew started at the beginning, and they're going to go all the way through SAISD's schools. And I mean, we've been very blessed. I can't think of anything negative that has ever happened in their school years. And Jacob, he's kind of at the beginning, but kind of the same thing. I mean, we've had a wonderful foundation, and I've just been so pleased with SAISD. And so since I have this little one now that's coming up, and it looks like we have 12 more years of SAISD ahead of us, I kind of started, when I was going back and forth between, do I have time for this, and is this the thing I really want to do, and can I fit it in with our busy family schedule? The thing that kept coming back was SAISD has done so much for my kids, and it's time for me to give back.
Wow.
And so, they're going to continue doing stuff for my kids since I have 2 more coming. So, of course, being involved in the community, I also love to be in on the decision-making aspect of it. So that was another deciding factor, was that there's so much coming up, here in the next few years that I would like to be a part of. So those were the 2 kind of main reasons that I...
Well, those are such worthwhile reasons, and you're going into it to the best you can with your eyes open, that you've had good experiences, and I'm so grateful. You also know that just like human beings are not perfect,
Right.
no organization, no school is perfect, and but the task of our school board, besides building buildings and renovating and making sure the programs that we have are timely, so that kids can leave us and get good jobs, it's always listening to ways that we can get better. And that thrills me that you are excited about that, and because we can always find a way to get better.
Right.
And so, well, we thank you for being willing to take this on. We look forward to your becoming a part of an already good team of leaders. And we welcome the background of experiences from all of your children and ways to help us get better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ami Mizell Flint.
Thank you.
Okay.